My older sister abused me my entire life and I still don't understand why. My 25F sister is 2.5 years older than me and I don't have a single positive memory of her from childhood. My earliest one is her doing what she would continue to do until I moved out at 18. I'm sitting on the floor, maybe 4 or 5, playing with whatever toys with my dad out of sight but within earshot in the kitchen. She comes in and begins speaking in a low voice so my dad can't hear, a voice I still can't get out of my head, saying a stream of insults about how I'm so unloved, how my parents don't want me, how they'd be better off without me, etc. I get upset and yell and maybe throw a toy or hit her, and my dad comes in to see what's going on having heard me yell. She says she was just walking by and I attacked her unprovoked. My dad believes her and he tells me off while she stands behind him with a creepy little smirk that is still seared into my memory like, "See? I told you." Okay, she was 6 or 7 and jealous of her baby sister. Except not only did it never stop, it got much, much worse. I believed everything she told me. When you hear something over and over as a child in situations designed to have whatever parent falsely reinforce it, you'll believe it. And she did that to me constantly. We were never friends, we never had a positive interaction. So by the time I was 11 I hated myself, believed myself to be unlovable, unwanted, and a cancer in my family. I developed severe social anxiety, anorexia, and depression so intense it manifested with mild psychotic features at one point. I stayed at 5 feet 4 inches 20 pounds underweight through high school, while she shot up to 6 feet 1 inch. She loved having the ability to control my emotions and made sure I was constantly miserable. Her little trick of finding me and quietly insulting me so I'd get angry and get in trouble never stopped. I was going insane. I hated myself, because I believed all she said about me, and was severely emotionally unstable, so I'd usually react. When I didn't give her the reaction she wanted, however, if I ignored her, basically she'd become what I can only describe as enraged. She'd slap, punch, scratch, strangle me until my vision went fuzzy, drag me across the room by my hair, etc. And she was much bigger than me. I couldn't really fight back. When we were in HS at the same time, she'd drive us to school and I'd always try and stay quiet, but would show up crying from the things she'd say to me in the car and the things she'd do to make me physically uncomfortable, rolling the windows down in the East Coast winter for example, since I got cold easily due to being so underweight. My parents didn't initially believe me about the physical abuse or that she was constantly instigating. They just thought we were fighting because we both didn't get along. Then my mom then realized at least some of the severity of it and my sister's role in my personal hell, that she began to arrange for my mom, and I to move out and into my grandmother's, but it never happened. I think my mom got overwhelmed and kind of shut down like she still does. My dad didn't believe it was my sister at all until a few years ago. So nothing happened, there was no effort to separate us, and she kept driving me to school, despite me begging for one of them to instead. I got more and more unstable. I hated being in the house since she was there, so I'd go on walks that would last 4 to 6 hours. A few times I walked so long my legs gave out and I'd have to sit on a curb for another hour plus till I could walk again. I'd walk through bad neighborhoods intentionally hoping to get shot or kidnapped or something. I was so depressed and miserable at home. My dad got cancer and she accused me of worsening it, telling me I was going to kill him since I couldn't stay home and often stayed out past curfew to get away. This stressed my parents out as they thought I was getting high, but I was literally just walking for hours. Stress is bad for cancer, hence my role in his illness. He recovered fully, thank God. My little brother was born when I was 6, and she showered him with love from that moment on, often running to cuddle him and then insulting me while doing so just so I'd feel the difference. I didn't realize how aware he was of this and her intent until recently. I didn't know that what she was doing was systematic and intentional abuse and not normal until I was 21 and in therapy. I finally cut her off. I confronted my parents and forced them to listen to story after story of her beating and choking me now that I knew it wasn't okay. My dad broke down sobbing and apologized over and over for not believing me then, and now, for years later, I've mostly forgiven him and try not to be resentful. They're incredibly loving parents, and I've read so much about how most parents don't recognize sibling abuse for what it is. It's harder for me to forgive my mom as she did recognize it, then did nothing to protect me, but I don't think she knew the extent, and I know it's her own anxiety reaction to just stop trying when things get to be too much. I still don't know why she did it. In the beginning, I understand jealousy, but later she was a beautiful, incredibly intelligent, successful, and well-liked student, and I was stick and bone spiraling uncontrollably. But still, she hated me. This led me to some very, very dark places, including a horrifying relationship with a 33-year-old at 16 I still get flashbacks from today. She's very much a narcissist, and I know that's an overused word, but after leaving high school she kind of let her true colors show to everyone else too. As a kid, I was the only one subjected to her abuse while she was the brilliant golden child, which is part of why nobody outside the family believed me either, so it was pretty gratifying for me when she started treating everyone around her like second-tier trash, and though she didn't abuse them like me, it did cause all her friends to cut her off en masse and see that I hadn't been lying the entire time. Nobody speaks to her now. After I went no contact with her, she did the same to my parents. Then my little brother, who had witnessed much of her behavior towards me, ended contact as well, and he and I have become close. I'd been through a lot, including sexual assaults and that awful relationship at 16, but I only have nightmares about her. A recurring one where she comes back into our lives, and I'm once again forced to be around her and told to deal with it. Though everyone knows about the abuse, they don't know how confused and hurt I still am about why she would do all those things to her own sister and never stop. I put on like I don't care now that she's gone, and oh, she's just a bitch, but it hurts me so deeply to see the relationships and bonds other sisters have, and I still feel like, even though logically I know it's not true, that there's something inherently wrong with me, and has been since childhood, that prevented that bond from ever forming. Otherwise, I can't understand why she's always hated me so intensely. Update: just an update on my life now to answer some questions. I am in EMDR therapy. Thank you to everyone suggesting it, because you're so right, it's incredibly powerful and I highly recommend it. I'm finally in college, even though going to college is expected / the norm in my family, and even though despite my intense mental health breakdowns and psych ward stints, I didn't do terrible in HS, my sister would always joke about how crazy and shocking it would be if I went to college or was successful in general, so I didn't really consider it, especially 'cause my mental health issues got worse before they got better. But now, at 25, I'm getting a bachelor's in business economics, and I'm really proud of myself because I'm actually not that stupid and I'm doing really well. I'm actually very close with my dad now, and my mom and I are on good terms. Despite them not protecting me as a child, they've been very supportive, emotionally and financially, as I've been trying to pull myself together these past years. I'm definitely on an upwards trajectory, but I still suffer from tons of anxiety and feelings of inferiority, and have very severe commitment issues. Working on it.